Hey, welcome everyone to a special edition of Story Trading. We got Dan Carlson here from TW Research. Welcome, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays.
Great. Happy holidays to you. We're going to get an update on TFFP in just a minute. First, a couple housekeeping notes. Story Trading is not an investment advisor. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. For those who are not familiar, story trading is a practice of understanding market pricing through the lens of the four pillars of fundamentals, catalysts, sentiment, and technicals. We collaborate now on WhatsApp and on Zoom. We have an app that's coming up, being tested right now. If you want to be part of that process, you can go to storytrading.com, sign up for our beta update on our app. So TFFP from Dan Carlson is what we call a VIP pick. On our website, you can go and track the performance of all of our VIP picks. If you're not part of the community and you want to submit a VIP trade idea or investment idea to your community, you can do that at storytrading.com/submit VIP. Now, TFF Pharmaceuticals, that's TFFP, last trade $8.65. This was first presented on August 9th by yourself, Dan, to our community. It did well for a while. At the peak, it was up 133% in January earlier this year. It's had a rough year. So now, since it's been presented, down 5%. I know this is a very popular stock in our community. A lot of people love the technology. There's been some disappointment. If you look at the chart, here's a big picture of the chart. Actually, it kind of looks good now to me, what's going on in the bottom right there. But in any case, that's a long-term view with weekly candles. If you zoom in a little bit, you'll see here there's been some movement in recent days. Maybe could be related to this potential Pfizer collaboration we've been hearing about on that PowerPoint that came out. So we'd love to hear your take on that. So with Dan's help today, we'll understand a little bit more, probably mostly about the fundamentals, but that'll help us put the big picture together when we combine it with sentiment, catalysts, and technicals. So with that, I'm going to stop my share. Dan, I'll turn it over to you. Let us know what's been going on the past year. What are some recent catalysts, some upcoming catalysts? What's going on?
All right. Yeah, so I'll give my disclaimers if that's okay first. I am not an investment advisor, and this is just my thoughts and opinions on the stock. And I used to consult the TFF. I no longer have a business relationship with them. I just own stock and options. Some of that is underwater. Some is still profitable. So TFF is interesting. I mean, you highlighted that it had a nice run last year, as a number of companies did, and has sold off. I think, just going back over the history, what caused the sell-off was the CEO. He's kind of for this space, kind of a little controversial in terms of some people love him, some people don't like him. What's not liked is the fact that he, in my opinion, is he's very optimistic, and he loves the technology, and he has drank his own Kool-Aid to some degree, which caused him to, kind of overpromise, underdeliver in some ways. So I don't think there's anything, if you peel back the onion, there's nothing nefarious going on. He thinks that he's got a game-changing technology for pharmaceutical industry, and got super excited about it and managed to not close deals in a timely manner. And that's really what got the stock running up and kind of selling off.
I've heard that story, by the way. What you just described is very common with some other stocks in our community, Dario Health, Smith Micro. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing what you just described.
Yeah, no, it's not uncommon. And sometimes people are hyping, and sometimes people are just overly optimistic. I will say, looking at healthcare stocks in general, when you take away the Pfizers and the Mercks, et cetera, who have the deep pockets and can do whatever they want, COVID has slowed down progress across the board in the smaller companies. They don't have the ability to write big checks and to get programs through hospitals that are in lockdown for fear of COVID, patients that don't want to spend the night in the hospital, so they don't want to enter programs, et cetera. So I kind of give, reluctantly, every one of my healthcare companies a hall pass if you're missing timelines during a pandemic. It's unfortunate, but you blame management the first couple times, and you go, wait a sec, this is a trend here. They're all reporting the same issues. So so for in that sense, Glenn not closing deals. Well, companies are focused. Pfizer's focused on making 2 billion vaccines, and they're making 4 billion more. They're not focused on locking up the generic enhanced version of niclosamide, right? But the progress is being made. So where we stand now, I mean, I like your little 4 pillars. Sentiment is the one that I think is like negative. So talking about some of these companies have negative enterprise value. There's negative sentiment here. Glenn promised 2 deals before year end. He didn't get them done. So the stock sells off. So, if he signs them on January 3rd, as investors, you're really happy that you pick some up cheap, and people who are getting upset that they didn't get it by December 31st, right? It's a year end's kind of arbitrary date, but he did fail to get them done, and that's got the stock down. There's tax loss selling. But I find what's interesting is from where we're at right now, this was I think the only healthcare stock in my universe that was up in Q4. And you hear people complaining, and I mean, they're all trading like crap, but we know that, right? But I think we're still up 12% for Q4, roughly.
Yeah, it's definitely outperformed.
It makes an outlier and a strong performer in a crappy market. So all the people complaining, I'm like, let me tell you, you could be doing a lot worse over the last few months. So where does we stand now? I actually had a great update call. I'm putting together my 2022 preview for this weekend, and I had a great update call with Glenn yesterday morning. So the timing of this is quite good. You want to start with the Pfizer relationship. That's the most interesting thing that's visible out there, because it's Pfizer and because they let TFF put their name in the presentation. You don't get to do that if you're like a janitor selling services to Pfizer. If you're doing any relationship with Pfizer, they're protective of their name, and they're not letting smaller companies use it in a presentation. And the fact that they signed off on it, and they've told Glenn you can talk about the relationship, no press releases at this time. That's a big deal. That shows that they like what they see, they're committed to it, and they think there's some meat on the bones there. If they were still kicking tires with TFF, they wouldn't be letting them use their name in their presentation. So what is that all about? Yeah.
Dan, I'm just curious. Can I get some insight on, because I've seen small biotechs PR, collaborations with big tech pharma, big cap pharma. What would differentiate a situation where, in this case, Pfizer says, "Hey, you can, let it out in a presentation, but no PR yet"? What's the demarcation point there? Do you have any insights into that? I mean, is there finances behind this? Are they getting paid at all yet?
Well, so a couple of questions there. So Pfizer is paying TFF right now. They're paying them for product development. So they're still in the testing phase, right? So TFF at a certain point to keep producing product for testing starts to get expensive. So Pfizer is now picking up the tab on that. So it's not a lot of money. It's not, it's not millions of dollars, but it's probably in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the line of demarcation, I mean, in this case, my understanding, I don't know the product they're collaborating on. I do know that Pfizer is looking at multiple products, but there's one that's sort of a lead candidate. I don't know what it is. And I think the reason there's no PR is Pfizer doesn't want anyone to know what it is. And that's sort of what I've been hearing is, if TFF's process is going to be an expensive add-on for any drug that's being used out there. So the only reason you would do it is it gives you a Pfizer, it gives you a technological advantage over your competition. And so you're going to keep it pretty secret that you're working on this for as long as possible. So that's my understanding behind it. But there also is no license agreement in place yet. I do know that they've talked broad terms, and nobody's kicking and screaming on either side. So the ducks are lining up. My understanding is they're now sort of in the phase where you got to test stability, you got to test that the product works, and hopefully within the next few months, and it could be shorter than that, those results, Pfizer's satisfied with those results, and then you move straight into the licensing phase. So we could be in a best case scenario a month or two away from a signed deal with Pfizer. We also could be, we could have nothing too in a couple of months. It depends on the testing, right?
Well, you brought up that management credibility issue impacting the sentiment. So I wouldn't blame the market if they didn't want to necessarily bid up the stock in anticipation of that. But that seems like a pretty accelerated timeline. Have they been working with Pfizer for a while? Is that your understanding?
Yeah, my understanding is they've been working for quite a while, the better
I
part of
see.
this year.
Okay, and it was just revealed publicly just recently.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So that's I mean, if that gets consummated, you get a double. It's actually a triple win. One is you got your first license deal, which is a big deal, and then that validates the whole platform. And as you know, the company's working with more than half of the top 20 pharmas in the world with an MTA in place, and processing and doing work, with that many companies. So you can start to sort of extrapolate that they're going to have success on other products out there. But it also opens up sort of a Pandora's box within Pfizer. If one unit signs off and moves forward, there's a good chance that you could see other product lines within Pfizer move in that direction. So it's potentially massive. And once again, it's all potential. So I don't want to overstate. There's nothing at this time, but it's. Do you want to buy it in front of the deal? There won't be any stock around if they announce the deal. It'll be a lot higher immediately. So,
Right. Yeah, that's true. Is this like one of the deals that they've been promising that by year end it didn't get done? Or is that separate, you think?
yeah, I mean, it's one of them. But that being said, it's not one of two. They promised two deals, but it's been frustrating, I know, for the company and for investors, but they have, I'd say, closer to a dozen that would all have qualified if they could have gotten one across the finish line. So there's a lot of term sheets. Glenn's talked about having multiple term sheets on his desk, a lot of testing going on. So yeah, it would have been one of the deals, but there's a lot more out there that could come together.
So a couple questions for you regarding valuation. And I'm not sure what their balance sheet looks like. With these delays in their cash burn and their balance sheet, is there any risk of another raise or dilution this year?
If they get some deals done, then the answer is no. If they don't get any deals done during 2022, yeah, come year end, they have money to take it into 2023. That's not a problem. But
Okay.
you're starting to look at it at a financing if come year end, Q4 next year, they haven't got any deals closed. I will be shocked and amazed. I'm going to be surprised if they exit Q1 without at least one deal in place. So.
Got it. All right. And then how do you think about valuation today while there's no deals in place? Like, this is an interesting question. Like, how do you value that? How do you think the market should value it? And once these deals, these licensing deals comes, what kind of deals are these, by the way? Are these things where, are they going to see any upfront money, or is it going to be years down the line when these products are commercialized?
Well, you got so once again, the deals he's talked about that he didn't get done were collaborations on products that major pharma would bring to TFF. And what happens in those situations, and he's been pretty clear about this, is an upfront fee. It's probably a minimum of 5 million, could be much more. And then there are milestone payments, and then there's an ongoing royalty at the back end.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, thinking of valuation, they have their internal programs, which also have, if they were to partner or sell them off, that was never considered to be part of these deals that he was shooting for. So you got voriconazole and tacrolimus have both put out excellent data, um, and they both are entering phase 2 trials. I think in January they should both programs should start dosing. The company intends to not to take them to market themselves, but to partner them off. They have said that they intend to, towards the end of Q1, start having conversations with potential partners and to sort of go through an auction process. Now, these partners will wait for data. So data will come, probably sometime in the summer. So they're going to start trying to line up to get their ducks in a row to sell those products. But there's a good chance those products will be sold before the end of the year. And to put it in perspective, this amazes me when you look at the current valuation, but they already had a bid, and Glenn talked about this on one of my Zoom calls, so it's kind of public knowledge. They had a bid that I think it was 17 million upfront for the voriconazole program, and then a lot of back end and royalties as well, which they passed on. And that was with preliminary phase 1 data. So you can extrapolate that if the phase 2 is successful, and this company has yet to have any negative data around any of their programs. If it's successful post a phase 2, you're looking at a much higher number. So.
Got it. So how does one go about today valuing the company? I see about 180 million enterprise value. How do you do that math for yourself? What do you think it's worth now, and what do you think it would be worth, let's say, after 1 or 2 of these deals are announced?
Yeah, so I mean, valuations are tough in this space right now. You look at the Roth analyst. I think his valuation, he only values the voriconazole and TAC programs, which are the internal programs, and their cannabis. That's all he's got a value on, and he's got a $29 target.
Oh, wow.
Based on just on that alone. And the tacrolimus looks to be a $1 billion or maybe multi-billion-dollar drug. I'd say voriconazole probably a $500 million drug. You can, so you can back down to say that this is a $20 stock or higher, just based on those programs. It's kind of if you want to do the sum of all the programs and do a percent likelihood analysis, et cetera. Right. And you can come up with really, really big numbers. So I don't know how you get to 180 million without assuming that nothing really good comes together, right?
Yeah. Biotech's a tough space to do valuations on. Like you said, you got to do those percent, hypotheticals, whatever they are, assign a likelihood of if something gets approved or doesn't get approved. It's not easy.
Yeah. So let me walk through, if I can, just sort of I made this, I think in my last newsletter, I talked about this being my top pick for year end.
Oh, wow.
And I that year end meaning not December 31st, but, through December and January and for a few months, I think there's a number of catalysts lined up here. So I just want to walk through what they are. And you've got the launching of the phase 2 in voriconazole, launching of phase 2 in tacrolimus, niclosamide, that program, they're in phase 1. That data should be out early in Q1, call it end of January. Union Therapeutics has already signed a term sheet to acquire that. They have an option to acquire it. So post the phase 1 sets the clock ticking on if they're going to acquire it or not. So that, assuming they take up that option, I think that's a $10 million upfront. They never publicly disclosed it, but you could back into that number from looking at the filings they made around it. So if that gets picked up, that would be very big. They have their inhaled monoclonal antibody program. They're 50-50 partners with Augmenta Bio. A little late to the COVID game, but if it were to be approved eventually, it would be the only inhaled mAb out there. The data that they've had on the binding, which is kind of preliminary data, was very positive. It usually talks about neutral. It usually leads to neutralization when it's that positive in the end game. So that phase 1 starts in Q2 of this year. So you get that coming quickly. What else do we have? They have term sheets on their desk. Glenn didn't get them across the finish line by year end, but I know he's close on a number of things. He's stated that emphatically. So I would suggest that you're going to see, besides Pfizer, another program signed in the coming weeks, not months. And we'll see if it happens.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they also have stuff going on their cannabinoid program. The company they're partnered with just got acquired, so that should accelerate, but they seem to have finished their testing finally and have a product ready for market. So you could start to see that some announcements around that soon. And then the thing that I think people don't haven't really focused on, but this partnership with Dr. Drew Weissman out of Pittsburgh. He's a possible Nobel Prize winner. He created the technology that backs both Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines. He's on their strategic advisory board. He's working with them on 4 programs currently for future, next generation vaccines. He's also very helpful. I mean, Pfizer's talking to them. You got to assume that Weissman's partially responsible for that. So you've got a guy who's quoted in every article that talks about the vaccine programs out there, and one of the renowned figures who's working very closely with TFF. And that's a big endorsement for what they're doing that I think is just overlooked by people.
That's a lot of great information, a lot of upcoming catalysts. And we actually had this, I think it was Ashley who's here on the call listening. I'm pretty sure it was Ashley who submitted this as a January pick. And what we just talked about today, between the tax loss selling in December and potential catalysts in January, which is a common thing, and positive sentiment that often comes about with the new year. I mean, this does sound like an awesome kind of January effect pick. It's already up, I don't know, 20, 25% or so since we put it on our spreadsheet as a January effect pick. And, it's StoryTrading. I love stacking my catalysts or stacking different factors. If you get the technicals lining up, if you get technical support with catalysts and with the change of sentiment, you get some sort of catalyst that impacts fundamentals. You get all that stuff happening at the same time. That's those are the inflection points I like to look for to go overweight on stocks. So it does sound like a pretty compelling opportunity to get in, as you said, as an end of year pick into Q1. So
yeah, like
really
I said,
good information to back that up, Dan.
It is my top pick for that, for sure. And can I also just make one more comment, if that's okay?
Sure.
The stock's been down the last 2 days. The XBI is down as well, but there's been some consternation over this S8 that was filed about employee option program, and I think it's, I mean, I've had a lot of questions sent to me, so people don't understand what this is. So just to get it out there, they've got an option pool for future issuance. They put a price on it in the filing for determining the registration fee. It was $8.40 at the time they filed it. That's the price they put on it. It doesn't mean any options are being issued at that price. Glenn's been emphatic in stating that no officers and no directors are getting any of these options. These are for consultants to the company and for future hires. And so far, they've issued a grand total of 75,000 options. So a lot of people think we just suffered 15% dilution at $8.40 a share. And the fact is, no, we've had 75,000 shares options issued, and the price on future issuances is determined by the current market price when they issue it. So the $8.40 is fictitious, and I think they just created another perceptual issue that is a buying opportunity a little bit.
Yeah. When did that S8 come out?
2 days ago, or maybe Friday after close or something.
Oh, okay. So that may explain the sell-off after the Pfizer disclosure pop.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And by the way, where do people go to get you said you have a newsletter and this was in a newsletter. What's the name of the website there? People can sign up for that newsletter.
twresearchgroup.com, and on the homepage is linked to sign up for the newsletter. It's free, and I also have a premium service where people can see what I'm buying and selling, and I have my own chat room that we share a lot of good information in there as well. So for the premium,
Great. Yeah, I'm in that chat room. It's a great opportunity there to collaborate with people in Dan's universe on those biotech stocks. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, that kind of covers TFF, I think.
Yeah, I know you had somewhere to run at 5 o'clock sharp, right?
Yeah, I got another call. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. So I'm going to thank you for your time, Dan. That was great. I got a couple other slides to run through with everyone else, and we'll hang on and discuss this a little bit with
Thanks, and happy
the rest of the
holidays,
community.
everybody.
Thank you. Yep. Take care. All right, great. And for everyone else who's still on the call, you can collaborate in our own TFFP research group in our VIP WhatsApp community, where we collaborate on the 4 pillars, and we try to identify great entries and exits and look for inflection points based on the, again, fundamental sentiment, catalysts, and technicals. We have usually about 2 events every week. They typically are on Sunday nights and Wednesday afternoons here on Zoom. If you're a VIP member, you get access to those in real time. Plus, you get exclusive access to the recordings for about a week before we post it on social media. Definitely, please follow us on YouTube and on StoryTrading. We're going to stay on here, turn off the recording, and have a little chat amongst ourselves on TFFP and anything else the community wants to talk about. So we'll see you again next time. Thank you, everybody.